Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sort of Chaos podcast. I am your host, Mike. Today we're going to be talking about The Dissident, a documentary by the documentarian named Brian Fogel. You might have heard of him, and he won the Oscar, I think, for the Icarus documentary, which exposed how the Russian Olympics, the Olympians from Russia always cheated in the Olympics, and it's the main reason why the Russians are forbidden to participate in further Olympics starting this Olympics. That was a great documentary, and this one is the new one from the same producer. Hey, what's up, brother? I think it's very important to see it. The story is about a Mr. Jamal Khashoggi. He was rather, what was it, Post, baby? The Washington Post journalist from Saudi Arabia that had to leave his country. The main gist of it is that this gentleman was inside the Saudi Arabia inner circle, and then he became a journalist and tried to expose some of the underlying corruption that happened there. He was forced to go into exile into the United States, and from there he continued his fight to expose what is happening in Saudi Arabia. At a certain point, while having a career at the Washington Post, he decided to get married. He met a lady, and in 2018, and I remember the news. I was fascinated for about 2 seconds until, you know how it is, fucking 3 seconds in, and 3 days in, and you can't remember the last news that happened. But I was fascinated for a week or two. I couldn't believe that was happening. But to get his marriage certificate, he went to Turkey because he couldn't. He had to stand clear from Saudi Arabia, and to get that wedding certificate, he went into the Saudi Arabian embassy in Turkey in 2018 in October, I think, and he never got out. They killed him right there, and it was exposed. You might remember it from a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, if you were paying attention. It's a fascinating story, and I believe more people should see it. So in this podcast, I'm gonna try to convince you guys to give this documentary a chance. All right, it's 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that, but it will be worth your time. I want to start. I have a few select clips, and then we're gonna talk about, as I remember seeing it. We're gonna talk about the details. Right. Let's first meet Mr. Khashoggi. Right. The story is told like an action movie. It's produced very good. The gist of it is that Mr. Jamal Khashoggi came into connection, and you'll see in which role, with this young, also dissident, I guess now, guy named Omar, who I think went to Canada and then started his YouTube channel and started to expose the same truths that Mr. Khashoggi was trying to do. And he narrates or tells about his relationship and what happened. So let's meet Mr. Khashoggi and Omar.
What happened to Jamal?
Prominent Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist has gone missing after visiting his country's consulate in Istanbul.
Yes, I knew that I was doing something dangerous, but I didn't know that, we're going to lose so many lives because of it.
On Tuesday, Jamal Khashoggi entered the Saudi consulate in Istanbul but hasn't been seen since.
Saudi and Turkish officials have given conflicting accounts on the whereabouts of Jamal Khashoggi, who's known for criticizing Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's policy inside Saudi Arabia.
Once an advisor and friend of Saudi's royal and elite, he now lives in self-exile in the US and is an outspoken critic of his government policies.
ما حوقف يوم واحد ما حوقف يوم واحد والقضية هذه عندي يا أنا إذا ما مشيت بالطرق النظيفة استخدم طرق غير نظيفة.
Turkish authorities believe prominent Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has been killed.
In Saudi Arabia, having an opinion is the crime. But Jamal's death changed everything.
Okay, so as a producer myself, I just want to start by saying how very well produced it is. I mean, you guys have to, the soundtrack, everything is very well thought of. It's crazy how this whole under your nose, but we are desensitized that it flew under. I bet a lot of y'all forgot about this case too. I almost forgot until I saw Brian Fogel on Joe Rogan. And that's a whole podcast I recommend you guys watch just to see the context of that story and how he came to investigate it. It's a fascinating 2.5 hour podcast too. So please cut the shit. Stop watching fucking Insta stories for fucking 2 hours without knowing what you did with your time. Watch that podcast. That podcast, that doesn't matter in which order you see them, because if you watch that podcast, it'll make you want to see this. If you see this, you want to definitely watch that podcast just to see the whole story. I wish I had time to kind of like name the chapters, but let's go on.
When I came to Montreal, I couldn't speak English, not a word. I applied for political asylum. And then I started to raise my tone. I also started to build an audience. People started to hear my voice frequently. And big names, public figures, started to retweet my tweets. I started to criticize the royal family, the religious people, the king himself. Because in Saudi Arabia, if you're talking about everything except the royal family, you're not talking politics.
The Saudi king's jet carries its own royal staircase. Waiting at the bottom of it at Gatwick Airport this morning were the Prince and Princess of Wales. The king of one of the most closed societies in the world looked at ease in this more open one.
The Saudi government and the monarchy has evolved significantly over the last 80 years, basically, since the kingdom was founded.
Okay, so the documentary kind of expands into the life of Omar. Now, this kid flew away because he was exposing his voice regarding the issues, and it just humbles you so much, dude. It definitely humbled me and made me roll my eyes when I see the kind of stuff that happens, and not only in the U.S., even here in Romania, right? The kind of stuff, the trivial shit that we latch at each other's throats for. And some people that truly have hardships, and they're at the limit of injustices being intolerated by the humanity within yourself, to see these injustices happen every day in your country, and then you have a reason to truly be forceful and be upset and try to inspire. And I can't say that I'm jealous, but it definitely humbled me, and the struggle of Omar to overcome his life being in danger, his family being tortured. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. Omar is, let's see this one, the next one.
The founder of Saudi Arabia, King Abdulaziz, had a...
Basically, what happened is, that's right. Abdul Ibn Saud, like this gentleman, this founder of Saudi Arabia, had like a lot of sons.
Sons or so.
Oh, 37. Dude, I thought the religious freaks in my country had a problem. You know what I mean? 37 is so crazy. But he distributed power between all these people. And long story short, at the moment, the guy who handled the petroleum, I think... I forget his name. Was it King Salman, I think? he started to kind of try to gain power and kind of root everybody else out, so that and I'm sure you might remember it from a couple of years or 3 years ago when there was in the news that Roddy come on, fucker, sorry guys, cottonmouth. Saudi Arabia's princes were being detained and arrested. This is basically King Salman, who is the father of the current prince, who's allegedly killed Khashoggi, right? His father formed a anti-corruption team to kind of like lay the law on any competition within their family. But let's face it, you're a goddamn monarchy. You're like kings. Literally everybody's name is king. Of course you did a lot of crazy shit. So that commission was kind of like a legal tool to, they had dirt on every one of them, obviously. So just a legal tool to justify locking them away and ceasing power to him. So it continues.
Political power as well as economic power was distributed among those sons.
A pivotal country, so a lavish welcome for the man who controls nearly half the world's oil reserves.
Once King Abdulaziz died, the crown was passed from the son to his son to his son.
King Salman became the king, and the game has completely changed. We're not dealing with the same people.
A new king reigns in a country with enormous sway over the world economy and the war on terror.
While in the past, the king really had to rely on a lot of his brothers in order to govern the kingdom, when they passed from the scene, more and more power was concentrated in the hands of his heirs. And that's the situation we have today.
Boom, baby. And that's how Bin Salman, right, his son, came to do all this power. Now, I remember this king, or is he a prince, baby? I don't know. I remember in the news. Remember when it was all over the news that Saudi Arabian women get to drive? Or were you too young for that? I think it was 2015, and it was this whole thing where people kind of like sighed of relief because while being authoritarian, Mohammed bin Salman, he tried to modernize the countries as he saw fit. So he did make some progress, but in the background, and what Mr. Khashoggi knew was all this rotten corruption that he couldn't stand, right? Sometimes it makes you wonder if maybe a monarchy, if you are to be in that case, maybe to, I don't know, just there's more murder and chaos created by fighting the power. So I'm not saying laying down, but sometimes the blood shed, I feel, goes underappreciated. Goes to show, like, a lot of people don't remember this case. It's fascinating. Let's move on. Let me remember.
But in 2012, he started following me on Twitter.
Okay, so to create a little bit of context, Mr. Khashoggi, like I said, was on the inside. He was running a paper, or was, what was it, an editor for multiple papers in Saudi Arabia, till a certain point where he got a direct message, quit it out, or you're out, or you're gonna get everything. So in the name of freedom of speech, he left to America. He left his wife behind. He left his family behind, and he didn't do it. He loved them. He was suffering for this, right? But he left them behind because if he were to keep in contact and try to maintain, they would punish his family. So that was like a huge sacrifice that this man made in the name of the justice of the people of the country he grew in, right?
He was very interested in social media, interested in the phenomenon. Saudi Arabia has an unprecedented online population.
All right. I couldn't believe this. So it seems 2 out of 10 Americans is on Twitter, maybe 30%. In Saudi Arabia, it's 80%. 80% of the population. You realize what 80% means? Like everybody and their mothers and their kids. You know what I mean? Old people, like, imagine, like, this is including children. This is including like people with handicap. 80% of the whole population is on Twitter. And it kind of makes sense because where else can you at least view other opinions and express them under anonymity than online, since everything is so linked and they can find out, right? So when freedom of expression and tyranny closes its walls, then your only escape is, I guess, Twitter. Which goes to show, like, it's easy to say Twitter shouldn't be regulated. And I know there's arguments for pro and arguments against, and we should, as Romanians, should think about this too. But you gotta admit, it has so much power, and in a way should be regulated. That's a whole different story. How do you regulate it across all countries, and what does it become? Or, you know what I mean? Do you make it an utility? Do you let it self-censor itself and pretend it's just a business? There's all sorts of the arguments, but this is such a clear case of where it has such a huge impact, right?
We know that there's no free speech. So Twitter became the parliament of the Arabs.
When you compare it to the States, 2 out of 10 are using Twitter. In Saudi Arabia, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 people.
80% of the country is on Twitter.
Yes.
And so if they can essentially control Twitter...
They can control the local narratives. They can control the public.
Of economic and social changes under the banner of Saudi Vision 2030.
So this next part shows exactly what I told you before, that the prince was trying to have this vision for the future of Saudi Arabia, where obviously he allowed more rights and wanted to see being seen as progressive, right? It's not unprofessional of me, pardon me. But obviously you get to draw the line, right? There's no free market when it comes to where the lines are drawn. So I don't want to spoil ahead. Let's do it together.
Prince Mukrin, and then the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Nayef.
He's been described as the power behind the throne and has had a hand in nearly everything in the kingdom.
He is emancipating women, introducing music and cinema, and cracking down on corruption.
Now, this must seem trivial to us in a relatively colonized second world country, right? Where you can go to concerts or women can drive. But you got to remember, these people, decapitated cheating wives and stuff like that till like a few years ago, right? So this is like huge progress within the context of their time, within the context of their conservatism, right? He was, I think in the beginning, before he had started assessing a lot of this power, the prince, I think he was seen as a progressive, but also hated by the more conservative members of his royal family, right?
Jamal believed in Vision 2030. He was supporting MBS.
Prince Mohammed bin Salman is promising to eradicate extremism in Saudi Arabia, and we need that. And he is promising to eradicate corruption, and we need that. But he's doing all of those positive things in the midst of silencing other opinions.
This is an American first. Never before has a president stepped
right.
on Saudi soil for his first trip abroad.
The most defining moment for Mohammed bin Salman and Jamal was actually the arrival of Trump.
2016, baby.
Will not seek to impose our way of life on others.
So this is ex-President Trump, basically saying, listen, you can say what you want about Trump, and God knows he's definitely not my favorite, but when push comes to shove, like I talked in my past episodes, America, and to an extent Romania through an extension, was sold this dream, but especially America, of course, was sold this dream that we are the liberators of the war. And of course, you tend to liberate a lot of countries with petrol. You feel like you guys understand what I'm saying, right? Say what you want about Trump, but you can't save the world. It's a dream. It would mean continuous war in the name of nothing. So as much as very lefty people tend to live in a bubbled world where they would like to pretend that these aren't realities of life, socio-political life, that is, the truth of the matter is you can't save the world. That's why Putin gets to do what he wants. That's why the president of China, that's why they don't interfere. It's like, to a point, and I was also thinking while watching this documentary, like, it also matters what the people think, to a point. That can be argued, right? Because in a country like this, you could argue that being so modernized, yet so their speech was so squandered, right? That they would want. So if you take the pulse of the population, they want that. If you think about China, like your average person, like you want to liberate China and help Beijing, right? That's all silenced now. They're gone, right? But at the end, if you ask your average Chinese, are you happy? Are you proud? From their point of view, from then their uninformed and uneducated point of view, because the state controls what they hear, right? They might as well be happy. They're like, yeah, look at this. It's peaceful. It's happy. Things are booming. We're building iPhones. I get to eat. My grandfather didn't. They all have a term of perspective when it comes to their livelihood, right? So if you ask them, it's good. But can you liberate, can you blame them, first of all, that they don't know, or most of them probably don't know the gravity of it, and the ones who do maybe turn a blind eye. But the killing of Uyghurs, right? The Muslim population in China, that they all have concentration camps, and we have privy to that information because we're outside, and it's actual free speech where you can report on things. You think they have the same news you have about the Uyghurs? And also, can you argue that you as Americans should attack China to liberate that? No. Keep circling back to Trump. What I'm trying to say is, economically, be it advised or having an interest or knowing exactly what he was doing, he said we will not interfere. Of course, Trump was looking hit for his, share. There's no mystery there. But point of the matter is, you can't save the world. So Trump drew a line, at least at this point, where he could still be considered okay. Where he said they have their traditions. They can do whatever the hell they want. We're not here to impose. We're here to do business. He's trying to make some dough. And either you want to admit it or not, America has been doing great economically up until the COVID crisis, right? It's been rising up, not for the right reasons or the politically correct reasons. And God knows he did a lot of shit, but whoever did his economical strategy, he tried to steer clear of burning bridges when it comes to making business, right? So this is what happens here.
But to outstretch our hands in the spirit of cooperation and trust.
What my sources told me was the Saudis, and Mohammed bin Salman in particular, were trying to forge a relationship with people in the White House, and most particularly with Jared Kushner, who's the president's son-in-law and senior advisor.
Mohammed thought.
Dude, Jared Kushner is like if you saw Mark Zuckerberg and you would ask yourself, how can I make this face even more annoying? And if you had a slider, you'd push it past 100%, just like in Adobe After Effects. And then it would force itself into the shape of Jared Kushner. That's how I feel.
That this is the golden moment where he can crown himself as the representative of the American might and power in the Middle East.
Right, so this was his end, the Kings. He's like, all right, Trump can pretend whatever, he's making business. I can like legitimize my position in the West. It was one of these type of businesses. Afterwards, let's see.
$1 billion,
Oh yeah,
500.
Trump. This is just funny. This is the funny part where Trump is just Trump being Trump. He was also like, as horrible as he was, you gotta admit he had like stand-up comedian timing. You know what I mean? He's like a jokester poster. You know what I mean? He's always trying to crack a joke, just like a 17-year-old kid at puberty with his group of guys, right? Trying to like impress. $18 billion, $25 billion, $600 million. This is pocket change for you. Excellent timing. Hate him as you might. It's one of the reasons it should be analyzed why he became president. And America, as well as Romania, should consider if voting for a president should be done in a way where you would have to prove some sort of skill and not just let it be a popularity contest as it is, right? If Trump didn't pose that question, and if nothing changes when it comes to the way we choose our leaders in the next 4 or 5 years, then it's never going to change because the patterns are there, right? The charismatic leader that promises loyalty and greatness for his country and a way back to the good old days, whatever the fuck that was, which is in translation what you perceive through rose-tinted glasses as the past being better, therefore you prey on that. Oh, I remember the good times. You remember the good times because you didn't have a gut and you can actually love your woman for 20 minutes, not just 5 before wheezing. Anything I say from when you were younger, those were the good days, no matter how shitty it was. Well, arguably. I'm sure there's extremes, but you know what I mean. Anyway.
$33 million, $525 million. That's peanuts for you. Should have increased it.
See what I mean?
Jamal was criticizing Donald Trump. He said that he's milking the country.
So Jamal also, obviously, Trump was like a baby. He held a grudge. You know what I mean? And of course, since then, he didn't give any damn about Khashoggi. Enemy number one in his ego, right?
The regime got very angry with Jamal. He continued to be outspoken.
I'm sure Saudi Arabian officials were caught off guard by the election of Mr. Trump. Now,
I think all of us, the Saudis, should worry about it. Because I strongly believe that the struggle for democracy.
All right. So you guys kind of see the context of the situation, right? Kind of see it coagulate. This gentleman was kept outspoken when it came to his country and the decisions made and the possibilities of it being put in a position where it would be milked, right? All right, I guess I'm blocked. Baby, am I live? Your stream has temporarily been blocked because shit. I wonder how long this has been going on. Well, yeah, but now it says stream offline. It should revert back in a couple of minutes if I don't play any clips. I guess the music got me and the audio. Look at all these comments. Oh, shit. It's been going on a while. Well, I don't have a time code for when it comes, but these guys. And we're back. I don't know. I have like a bunch of them of the people talking amongst themselves and saying shit went offline. Sorry, people. I think I've been had with the audio. Don't worry, I'm recording all this and I'll edit a shorter episode. I'm going to continue my ramblings because I think it's an important documentary, but I'm going to play it this time without sound because this is where I think I get in trouble. So let me just mute this for a second. All right. And right. Can you keep an eye on the stream for me? Because I can't watch the stream too, because I have the thing on. Right. So what happened next was Jamal Khashoggi reached. Okay, I don't think I have. I wish I could show these parts, but this is the problem with creating episodes in the past too. You gonna if I'm gonna cut this into an episode, guys, I have to like cut it up and then put it into little pieces and upload it and see if it blocks it and down. See to make it more entertaining for you guys. You gotta do all this type of shit. That's content creation. Let's see. So basically what happens is Jamal Khashoggi contacts Omar, this guy, and says he's trying to he was impressed with him and he was trying to get him to understand how this is working. I'm gonna fast forward through some things just because I'm not sure how much of this is getting through to you guys. Actually, let me just talk to the people on the stream. All right. Yeah, the messenger is horrible, guys. The messenger broke my heart. I thought I was doing a good job presenting this fucking thing. I don't know where you guys remain, but let me speed through what happened just by memory because obviously I'm gonna get the stream deleted. All right, so what happens in Saudi Arabia is they have like a huge network of 3,000 or I think 30,000, right, baby? 30,000 people who, just because most of the communication is done by Twitter, they decided to create this team, huge team that can hashtag bomb anybody. So if Mr. Khashoggi were to make a declaration or whatever, write an article that would, and then he would hashtag it, they would just basically jump on that hashtag and use the same one, or if it was so if they used the same one, if it was nothing inflammatory, they would just post pro monarchy posts on Twitter, but I mean tens of thousands of them, right? And it would just flood until that hashtag deleted the actual article Khashoggi wrote, right? Otherwise, they would just dominate through other types of hashtags, so they went into trending in Saudi Arabia. So he always got pushed to the bottom. He couldn't get through. So he contacted Omar, and basically they made a network. And this was all funded. It wasn't government or anything. This was just journalists trying to be journalists with volunteers and stuff. And Omar put together a team throughout the world, and it's fascinating. You guys have to see the documentary. They exchanged SIM cards. He bought like fucking 300 SIM cards and I don't know how many phones, and they had protocols and stuff. So they would try to, every time Jamal or somebody they believed posted a view where they wanted it to go up in trending in Saudi Arabia, they would use VPNs and shit through all over the world and raise that hashtag, trying to fight the, how they call it, the Twitter army. The wasps, I think they call them. The bees was Omar's team. But I think the Saudi Arabians were called the what? I fucking forget. Doesn't matter. So this is the way they would do that, right? So in the end, it comes to the murder of Jamal. It's not in the end. It's a whole thing I'm skipping over. But I want you guys to see it. So I want to make myself clear. When it comes to the murder, it's fascinating. So they showed video footage. The Turkish government uncovered everything and leaked most of the things. The way it happened is you see him 5 days before Mr. Khashoggi and his fiance reaching the embassy in Turkey. They go in. You see the leader of the embassy walk him out and see, this is going to take about 5 days for this documents to be ready. And you can see him leaving and being happy and like, yeah. And the dude goes out in the street and kind of like eyes him creepy as fuck, really. Then they go back and the next phone call is to Saudi Arabia announcing he'll be back in 5 days. From that point, within those 5 days, 8 people left from Saudi Arabia, and this is like one of the personal security of the prince, the head coroner, right, of the country, like the guy who dissects people and decides on dead people and what happened to them, right? There was also, I forget, there was like, this was the guy, the coroner was the medic. I wish I could play the clips. Anyway, there was like 8 people, and you can see them all over the pictures with officials and stuff like that. And they all leave by private planes of the monarchy, right, of Saudi Arabia. They arrive in private planes. They meet up, and they have the transcript, man. The Turkish people released the transcript, and it's horrendous. This Mr. Khashoggi comes back at 1 in the afternoon, so it was daylight, just to be murdered in daylight, just the concept of it, right? He comes with his fiance 5 days later. He goes when he never comes out. His fiance waits. 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. started calling. Then started people making phone calls, and then within 2 days, it's full of media out there. And Turkey launches an investigation. They're not allowed in. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy. You got to see this documentary. First of all, you have the transcript. He came in. The room where he was murdered was the only room that wasn't bugged. That Turkey pretended it wasn't bugged. They say it was in the conference room. They say they did it in the conference room because they wanted to live stream him being killed to Saudi Arabia, but that's neither confirmed nor denied. It's a speculation at this point, but all the other things they have transcripts for, and these people came with like bags. They separated, I think, the head. Probably the head was taken back, just like in the fucking movies, dude. It's crazy. You have discussions of how they were gonna kill him, because just like in the movies, they bring us like a body double, man. Somebody who was the same shape of him, but they put this like cheesy ass beard, and people identified it afterwards. The Turkish police, and to not get the clothes dirty, you can read the transcript. Well, actually, it shows it to you in the documentary. But they were thinking, okay, let's lay him upside down like a pig, because they first would choke him, suffocate him, and then lay him upside down like a pig, and then cut his throat so that he bleeds out all over the floor, and the clothes don't get blood on them, dude. And this is how they do it. And they describe this whole with chilling effect, making jokes about it, right? So they killed this man. They took off his clothes. They gave it to a stunt double. Afterwards, from the Turkish police investigation, you can see they found where the double was going through the cameras, and they saw him throw the clothes away. Nobody fucking knows, right? So they give it to a double. Then they chopped this person up, and they were describing how they're going to cut him and all that stuff, put him in body bags, take him out. Meantime, his poor fiance is waiting outside, right? Until the investigation was at 2 weeks or something like that, they come in. They find footage of them bringing like cleansing shit. They ordered, what was it? Like 50 kilograms of meat. Because they had like this high temperature oven burner thing where even DNA evidence wouldn't burn there. So they like come on, I need water. You're so stupid, dude. Stop using words you can't pronounce. Like they wanted to pretend, so they ordered like 50 kilograms of meat, and they like have a huge barbecue, right? So they can hide the smell of burning meat. It's chilling. It's all fucking and this is happening. It's the same dude, right? So the media comes, the investigation happens. You have all these details. Now these guys describe how they wanted to justice for Jamal, how they used that whole Omar, this other dude, how he used that whole army to kind of like put up the justice for Jamal hashtag #1 in Saudi Arabia, which is a very inspiring moment. And I'm not gonna spoil it further. You guys need to see it. It's the Omar's story is also very sad because his brother was taken hostage. His whole family and his friends, 40 of them were arrested, and Omar is like intelligent enough to record anything from the point he knows he is in trouble. So he recorded phone calls, he recorded anything, and you hear this heartbreaking phone call from his brother. It breaks your heart. They were torturing him, right? Torturing him, and this phone call just says, "Please, brother, you have the power to stop this. Just make it stop. Just stop making videos." And he couldn't. He just had to say, he had like 7 brothers or something like that, I forget. And all his friends are still arrested there with no reasons for what. I think they stayed. Are they still in jail? I think they're still in jail, right? Yeah, at the ending, you find out they're still. Listen, I want to play this phone call no matter what. I want you guys to hear this. Hold on. I hope it doesn't get blocked for this, but where's that phone call? There's this whole thing with Bezos. They hacked. I forgot about this part. They hacked Jeff Bezos because he was owning the Washington Post, right? And he owns it. So they hacked him because they had a potential business connection. So the prince himself sent Jeff Bezos a link, and that was like an army bought cyber weapon that makes your phone basically access free to the people who use it. And they used the prince himself sent Jeff Bezos. He was hacked for 2 weeks, and the murder of Jamal Khashoggi is the reason why we found out a year or two ago Jeff Bezos divorced and he lost like 500 million or whatever the fuck. All that was from this leak. They pulled everything from Jeff Bezos because they didn't like the fact that he didn't want to go through with the deal after finding out about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. So because he thought the prince thought he could like talk him into like snuffing out the story. And to his credit, Jeff Bezos didn't, he backed off. He didn't go into business, and then he hacked him. That's why Jeff Bezos is divorced right now, most likely. Maybe this wouldn't be out. He would be divorced for different reasons, but it's crazy. So they leaked this. They used this like cyber super weapon to like the whole security of Jeff Bezos didn't realize everything was transparent from his phone for 2 weeks. That he'd been downloading everything, right? It's chilling. I think I've done enough. I'm so pissed. I had this whole fucking thing. Let me just end on that phone call, guys. And if you don't see it, you're wasting your times. Because you got to see where technology can take you, how the public opinion can be shaped through social media. I know you can intuit a lot of these things, but to actually see it happen to, there's a moment where a gentleman says, like, if you can murder somebody of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi's status in plain sight, that's a message. And that message says, if he can be murdered, anybody can be murdered, right? So Saudi Arabia was trying to like send this message to anyone who might think to criticize that opinion. And that can change in a cinch in any other regime, right? Let me end on what Omar put on the line with his fighting and holding Mr. Khashoggi's side. Let me show you. So there's a longer bit in the... Hold on. Let me just... Oh, this is it. Check it out. Please don't block me, YouTube. Come on, goddammit. I'm trying to bring good shit to people. Put some perspective on. All right. Here we go. Sound. I took all this time to save these bits too. God damn it.
Group of my friends and brothers arrested. Dozens.
No music. So this is the audio from his brother. Man, I swear to God, I'm tired. God have mercy on her mother.
الله يرحم أمك. أقسم بالله.
I swear to God, it's all in your hands. This is like his tortured brother, man, to the point of insanity.
عمر ما بفيدك لا كل شيء.
And imagine like fighting for something so like with your whole being that you know your brother is being tortured and dying and you still go on. I don't know. You have to respect that, right? And even Omar, there's this whole part where they send like a celebrity from Saudi Arabia to call him back and be like, hey, you'll have your own platform if you come back, trying to reel Omar in so they can kind of end him too, make him go away, right? The only way you can help me is by shutting up, brother. May God bring you happiness. Stop. I swear it will help me. I swear to God it will help me. Imagine having this phone call from your brother. For the mercy of our mother, I beg you, stop.
Two of my brothers are still in prison.
I'll keep stopping it so I'm not...
He was severely punished. Severely tortured.
It's crazy, dude. It's absolutely crazy. I thoroughly enjoy it. Please, if you're going to watch it, also watch Joe Rogan's podcast with Brian Fogel. I also followed him on Instagram. Fascinating podcast. And even if you haven't seen Icarus, you need to see that one too. And it's crazy. Things are mirroring all over the world with Russia and what is it? Whatever. I'm recording it. Russia and what's this guy's name, baby? Who's in Russia nowadays, and he's Navalny, right? So the same with Russia and Navalny, and echoes throughout We're not live, so it's good. I smoke too much. So this author, you can do this, fucker. I want to say authoritism. What is it said? Right. Yeah, just fascinating. I hope you guys see it. Yeah, it's back. Listen, I'm going to cut this and put it in the weekend. Hope I get to do it, or at least at the latest next week. And I'm gonna cut some parts and trying to get it unblocked. But in the meantime, I'm fucking struggling for an hour now. Just go put that documentary on your to watch list for this week before it goes stale, and share it if you like it. Share it because this Brian Fogel, this documentarian, needs the shout outs to create further like true investigative journalistic work, not this bullshit we consume from our phones. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Support me on Patreon if you would like and have the possibility to do so. And once again, please watch the documentary. You won't regret it. Have a lovely evening. See you next time. Peace.